So he doesn't have a clue what's in there. I think it's because he's becoming a bit of a dinosaur, so he's not knowing the modern tactics. But how long has this been in the darkness for, Graeme?
5 years.
5 years. So you'll see him loops. Generally, people doing while they're fishing what they call a hinge stiff rig.
Oh, for God! Why did I come in here? Why have I come in?
Well, if I'll be straight, Graeme,
I finished with school.
I am the basic angler anyway, but I can talk you through it all. I've tried and tested a lot of it. So.
You put the spare wheel on the back here.
What do I do? Turn up here? Can I get back up here? It's got 29 on now.
Hi Graeme. So Graeme's popped in today to ask me what is in Mike's bag. So he doesn't have a clue what's in there. I think it's because he's becoming a bit of a dinosaur, so he's not knowing the modern tactics. But how long has this been in the darkness for, Graeme?
5 years.
5 years. So Mike's become a family man.
Might be, yeah, exactly. I'm going by the age of his kids. Yeah. No, he just doesn't do it. He doesn't go carping.
Right, okay, well, we'll go through it. So this is like a hook board.
These are the things I want to steal.
You want to steal these, so you want to try them out. Okay. Yeah. So what else we got? So this is a general standard rig wallet, bit of everything.
Oh, so one thing I did want to ask.
Go on.
He's got another box with leads in it, and there was a lead. I touched it in there, and I thought, oh, why is that? It didn't have. Oh, it's probably fallen out.
There was a
single cut. That's the kiddie. Where's the little rubber grommet thing?
Sometimes
do you buy replacements, or is it for something?
You can buy replacements, but quite often when I use an inline lead, I use what they call a shocker rig. What it is you'd have knock the centre out, so it's more free flowing.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, and then I don't know. We might be able to thread this through. I'll have a look.
He's got another one with a box of stuff, you know, and he said, "Oh, the bit that goes in there is in so and so." But I said, "No, I don't think so. It should be a little."
So say if I had my, we could show you a quick little demo. So let's just say, let's have a look in Mike's bag. So this one here.
They're way too tidy for me, so obviously we know it's not a totally awesome bag there.
I think that's a bit modern, these hooks for you, Graeme, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, they're new.
So, there you go. So that's a proper size carpet.
Yeah.
That's on a quick change link. So, basically, how I'd have this set up, let's just roughly push it together. Although I can't really say. If that was sliding down as my main line.
And allegedly tied on there, yeah?
Yeah, let's just push it in there. Right, so that looked like that. I'd have a bead up the line here.
Yeah.
That would detach as well if it was to break off, so you wouldn't be leaving, as we call a trailing rig, as a death rig with a carp. And the idea being is the fish would take it, slide up, and then when it gets there, hit the bead, which then essentially sets the hook, and then you get a run. Normally, your rod normally comes off the stand. So,
is that right?
Yeah, so that's just one of the little best sizes, but that might be why he's popped the centre out of that.
Yeah, what did you call that one?
A shocker rig.
A shocker rig?
Yeah. So
meaning they can run a distance and then they come up the shock of the lead and spooks them.
One thing you have to be 100% is you have a detachable bead. A bead that can either freely slide off once it's got caught, or you do like Corda do one called a tracer bead. You put a little thing on the line and then it pops off. Perhaps I could show you one of those a bit later.
Yeah, okay. It's just I've only ever used ones where the swivel goes in that.
That's it. So all that is the centre is
been taken out.
It's been taken out. Yeah.
So what are these?
Right. So
real short ones. That's what I'm
real short ones. These are called chod rigs. So in your day, Graeme, you might know it as a helicopter rig. Which is where this came from?
Well, I've been living near Farnborough Airport a while, so I've seen the helicopters Odium. But no, I don't. I only used it tench fishing helicopter rig.
That's it. So a helicopter rig, we'd have to do a little demo on one soon. But basically, it came from a helicopter rig. It runs up and down the line, so
it runs loose.
It runs loose. Yes, you'd use a pop-up with something on this. You wouldn't have to use a pop-up. You could use a bottom bait, in all fairness. And the idea being is you'd have your lead that end with a fixed bead on a
I've got you something like that.
Short length. You see Mike here has got what they call a D-ring rig.
Yeah.
So they get, I don't know if you see that piece of line there. It goes into a complete little, and that's what the hook's sliding up and down on there.
And what's the meaning?
So the meaning of this is, so the idea is what they call a blowback rig. You would tie your bait on with a bit of floss.
No hair rig, yeah.
No hair rig, so it comes straight off here with a bit of bait floss, so your boil would be on here, and it's generally a pop-up, and we'd pop that straight up off that link there, straight off your leg core or your, whatever sort of leader material you're using.
Yeah.
And then as the fish pick it up and they take it, they will just get hooked just by the weight.
So I don't understand why you wouldn't have just a hair rig then.
You could use a hair rig.
You could do.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a different method. It's something that's been out there forever. The D-ring rig. I don't know what else have we got in there. Oh, there's a better. What have we got here? That's just it. So there you go. Similar one. But
Okay,
Mike's obviously follows your advice there. So we're on a hair there.
Yeah.
So obviously that's one. That's not a hair. So that's that shows up quite right on there. So that's the D-ring, which you can tie off that with a little bait ring.
That, yeah.
And then that's your hair rig one there. Let's have a look what else Mike's got on here.
It's just way too tidy and organised for me. Way too tidy.
This is what they call a loop rig. And what they do is they tie a loop in the end here, as you can see. You can see the loop knot there. Yeah. And then they thread it through the eye, come up past the top of the hook, then they put a bait ring on it, and then pull it back over the hook. So it's almost like a sliding figure of 8.
Yeah.
And now that's held in position like that, and then you tie your bait again off this ring. And it's mainly like a pop-up rig, a short pop-up rig. So you're seeing loops, generally people doing while they're fishing what they call a hinge stiff rig.
Oh, for God. Why did I come in here? Why have I come in?
Well, if I'll be straight, Graham,
I finished with school.
I'm the basic angler anyway, but I can talk you through it all. I've tried and tested a lot of it. So when they say a boom rig, it'd be a really stiff piece of mono.
Yes.
And then they have like a small piece of like a supple hair or something that comes off it. So as it sits
down, the bait movement.
The boom would kick it away, and then the bait's got the movement to sit over here.
I've got you.
So it's a pop-up rig generally. So, but we like to confuse you, Graham. So
well, this is why
keep talking you through.
Mike obviously got into the rigs at some stage.
I think you did. I would say probably 90% of guys who get into carp fishing will have a phase of going through rigs and then go back to the basics, because that's where it all starts.
Hair rig.
A hair rig. Yes. So what else have we got in here? So we've got a super long rig by the looks of it.
Yeah, he said himself when I asked him, I said, what's that for? He said, I don't know. Somebody in the cart world told me it was for whatever, and he forgot.
I'll be honest with you, it's just a long rig with a piece of braid. There's nothing special about it. There's no hair on that either. Yeah. So maybe he was going to fit. You can do it with like hook ring stops on the shank, and then you have a swivel over the top. So obviously you get that on that. That is a very long rig. I think Mike must have got excited with that one.
He must have done, yeah. He got sponsored with some braid, I should think.
So one here I'm looking at, if that's what I'm thinking. No, he's doubled them over. Okay, that's not the way I would use that one. But again, that's another loop rig with the braid where it goes up and over the top and pulls back down. So there's not actually a knot there at all.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, so it just pulls back on itself. Have we got a standard hair rig? Let's have a look. So there you go, curved shank hook, very small curve. You see it's sort of more curved than a standard.
Yeah, you see it sort of kicking in there, can't you?
So it's quite popular. So when you put a bait on that and you hold it up, if you see the angle of the hook, the way it sits, the idea being is the fish blows the hook out, it's got maximum point of the hook showing to actually prick the fish's mouth. So when it turns, then it will hook.
Now, those curved hooks, are they the norm now, or was that a fashion of its time?
No, so they used to be more aggressive, the curved hooks. Anyone who's been carp fishing a long time remember Carp-Rus long shank nailers, and they were a bit aggressive. They were a longer shank, so they might have been, I don't know if I'll show you that one. They looked skinnier, not quite as wide a gape, and probably about that long.
Yeah.
And then,
really long shank.
Yeah, so when they used to go in, they'd pull in tight and you'd never turn it. So that it was just a very aggressive hook for hooking in. So what they use now generally is a medium curved shank. It's got more popular in the fact that they use bigger sizes now. So what you remember as a size 8 hook, Graham, the size 8 in the carp fishing world now is probably like a number 4.
Oh really? Yeah.
What else have we got? Anything different?
Well,
loops. So
there's enough there to keep me awake at night. But as a basic rule, I've heard somebody tell me this before, Graham. You've put a solid bag with too long a link in it.
Yeah.
So give people, there's 2 ways of PVA in.
Yes.
And that is a mesh bag or a solid bag.
Yeah, so when you're fishing what they call mesh bags or PVA stockings, or some people in the match world call them tea bags because they dissolve. So basically, you have your mesh netting, you'd fill the tube up, make your little ball, perhaps do a little demo on one day, twist it up, and then you literally just hook your hook through the bag.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And I'd give it another twist, hook it again if you're really going to punch it out.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I do, yeah.
I'm a bit of a lazy angler, so that suits me perfect.
That's why presumably I've got it as well.
So if you go with fishing...
this is for mesh.
For mesh,
so that length there, guys, would be for mesh.
So I mean, you probably get away with that in a bag if you're using a slightly bigger bag, but they generally fish a shorter length that would be something, you know, probably that as a maximum and that as a minimum.
Yeah.
And what you do is you actually put the lead in the bag.
Yeah.
A bit of bait, and then you just sort of feed this down into the bag.
Yeah, that's it. I got it. Yeah.
And then it all gets sewn up, twisted up, and then you're going to cast it in one.
And then why do they have this away? If you must put the lead in first, and then is this a case you might tangle when it dissolves?
Tangle, yeah. So if you had a really long link, well, for instance, if we had Mike's super long link,
exactly,
and we shoved that in a bag, we'd have to
coil
it all up. There's no guarantee that when that comes out, he's
won't be a loop,
half like this, and then a knot and a complete mess. So the idea of the short link is purely, it just keeps it neat, tidy. If you've got your pile of bait that's sat all around it, you're hoping that fish is going to come in, swoop one big mouthful, blow it out, pick the hook up,
and away.
Jacked it, and you're away. So that would be the difference between fishing the solid bag and then the actual mesh bag.
So all these, not that I'm going to use them long ones,
yeah,
I'm going to go for what I call the standards.
So my standard, 6 to 8 inches.
That'll do me. That's going to, if I pinch those out, he'll never know I've taken them.
He won't, because he get muddled.
And because he hasn't been in there for about 8 years, I should think.
If we curl that one in up and down, he won't know how many have gone.
No, that's it. I'll have a load of braid, I may use that for catfish. He'll never know.
So, what else has he got on here? Do I look at these?
Just bits and pieces.
Well, there you go. There's a top tip there. So we were saying about tying baits on with floss.
Oh, dental floss, yeah.
So we sell bait floss in the tackle shop.
Yeah.
But it is essentially dental floss, but just not a flavoured one, because most dental floss is a minty flavour. Not
That's
that
true,
I think it would affect it, to be honest. So they use that to tie the bone, which is essentially creating a small hair. If I can even open that. So you'd pull a length of that off.
And you make your hair out of it.
You could either make your hair out of it, you'd either feed it through the bottom of the ring.
Yes, I've got it, yeah.
Because you could tie it around it like that, or generally what I would do is I'd pull my bait, I'd pull that through, pull the bait through on the tag ends, and pull it up tight, and then I'd just tie 2 overhand knots off on the bait, and then some people normally dab it with a lighter because it just blobs the
Seals the end. Seals the end, I've got
so it gives you something to fall off. So yeah, dental floss, bait floss, does the same trick really.
And the thing is, they can come in here and get ready-made rigs off you, as we showed last week or the other week.
We do short PVA bag rigs for solid bags.
Yeah.
We do sort of your standard 8 to 10 inch rigs. We do ready tied zig rigs. There's a bit of everything. So if something you want to try and have a go, you can always buy a pre-packed.
Yes.
Look at it, and you can learn how to tie it off that. And obviously,
if you wanted to,
ask anyone in your local tackle shop. They're normally quite helpful. That people will give you.
And your solid bag sizes, what do they come in?
Solid bag sizes. Do you want to wander through and I'll show you?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
So these are the solid bags up there. We do plain PVA, and then we do perforated. So what the plain is, it's got no holes in it. So if you tie it all up, you need to pierce a hole in it, otherwise you'll do what I used to do as a kid. You cast down, think, what's that floating on the top? It's your PVA bag, and then it'd melt. These have already got holes in them, so they're pre-perforated, pre-pricked, so when you cast them out, they will just sink straight away. So
see, I didn't know that either.
I suggest go for perforated, you don't have a problem then. So these are the PVA meshes. They do 3 different sizes. You get a 20mm, 25mm and 32. And then when you get 6 metres on each roll, and then you just buy a top-up one, which you just pull over the top like a sock.
That's the one. That's the one I use most. That one, that sort of size.
32.
Those small ones, I've had trouble with.
Good. So, but I prefer going big. And make the bag as small as I want out of a bigger bag. Which we can show you something. If I show you the little pamphlet for that. That gives you a good idea of how the stocking works.
Yeah, that's me. That's
it. Nice, easy fishing, cast out, and it can't go wrong. You've got bait around your hook bait.
One thing I don't use is these plunger things they come with.
Yeah.
Is that just for packing small bait or what?
Small bait for ground baits, doing stick mixes, and you're making the bags really tight and small for casting long distances. So they make them
compressing everything.
That's it. Whereas normally the long ones, you tap it on your hand, get it nice and tight, tie overhand knot, job done.
Gotcha.
So, but we can show you those another time if you like.
Oh, brilliant, Grant. Well, listen, thank you very much for giving us a little run through. I'm sure there's guys out there, all the kart guys will be yawning. Oh, I know all that, and loads more. But if you're a beginner, you need to know what rigs for what situation.
Always ask questions.
Exactly. Come in here and ask.
From all different ranges, ages, everything. People fishing 40 years, 50 years. There's always somebody who knows something in fishing that you don't.
Yeah.
There always is. And there's no wrong or right. It's just what you enjoy.
Well, lots of kart rigs there for me to be using on my overnight kart fishing sessions. Hope to be doing some now the decent weather's here. And of course, Mike won't even know I'm using them. Now, Mike also purchased a Land Rover of vintage disposition. It is actually a military vehicle. It's a Land Rover, a lightweight military version. I don't know what number it is, honestly. It can be dropped out of or landed with helicopters. It's an old one. I think he's already put it up on his channel, bits and pieces of what he's going to be doing with it. So, jump aboard with us. We'll have a little bumpy ride down the road. Just short blips. Right again. Do a bit slow.
Takes a while to get used to it. It's very bouncy with the leaf spring. What do I do? Turn up here? Can I get back up here? I've got 29 on now. Where am I going, Dad? I don't know where I'm going.
We could have gone left, but it's a lane. You won't want to go down the lane.
I want to be able to turn round, get back on the 833.
No, you can turn around here. I just thought a modern road would be a bit boring,
No.
Well, that was a bit of shake, rattle and roll, that trip in a military vehicle. I think I'll just pop off and see the chiropractor to get my neck put right. Anyway, we happened to go, listen, we just happened to go by chance past our local pub. I said, mate, whoa, hold your horses. Well, he pressed, not much happened actually for a while. 100 yards later we did stop. Anyway, we came back, had a look, blow me down, there's a really, looked like a fully restored Land Rover of the lightweight type that's dropped down there, as well as 2 other vintage vehicles, proper, really old ones.
That is another Series 3 bike. Looks amazing. Looks awesome though.
It is the same one.
Yeah. He's not got the radio button, it's a 12 volt. Let's say he's got the toolbox stored underneath there, that's what's saying at the back underneath the wheel arch.
Different wheels.
He's got the toolbox there. Smaller wheels, yeah, Wrangler all-terrains. But he's also not the antenna tuning boxes. Cool.
Would that have been that's a wheel mount there, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's taking his off.
So where's your spare wheel?
On the back, probably.
You put the spare wheel on the back here. No spare wheel. Oh, spare wheel's inside.
Yeah, covered up inside.
And it's a different. Is that yours exactly the same as that?
12 volt. I'd say that's a 12 volt.
No, the wheel, the actual layout, putting the wheels on there.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you do have this. I think you can put it on there as well.
Put it on there.
Mount it there.
Well, that's a good idea. Then you don't strain. That might be an idea for yours.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to take in full soldiers anywhere, are you?
No,
so.
no.
Got the leaf springs there.
Yeah.
And the vertical shocks as well. So I'm guessing that's.
I was thinking about this, Dad. I think that's the brakes.
What, that?
Yeah, the vertical shocks. I
Well,
think
that's double shock to me. That is like a shock absorber to me.
Hydraulic brakes. That's what it is. But either way, it's neat. It's a better conditioned one than mine, I'd say. You've got, in terms of rust wise. The old Austin's wicked. Got it. The handbrake on it, And it's like that.
Rope and chain. Anchor and chain.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's left the keys in it, ready to rob. Now that's what you got, see? I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got one of those in red in the garage, which will go in yours, and it's the same era. Belonged to my granddad.
So, oh look, it's a hand crank, isn't it? Or is that for if you just can't
I'd say
start
that's
it?
a spare to the ignition. I don't know. They probably got a key in it.
Mine's
so
got
it's
a
key
hand crank
ignition.
in the bonnet somewhere. If you can't start it, and it makes sense. The military would have a backup, right?
Yeah.
It's got a wood box on the outside, like a nice wooden, lovely wood box. That. What is this one?
Riley. They used to have a thing called Riley Pathfinder. I think the police used to drive them.
Or yeah, something like that. Triumph. It's a Triumph.
Wow, plenty of work to be done on the old landy there. I wonder who's going to be employed for that lot. Paint job, rust, all those bits and pieces. Be nice to see how it comes up, won't it? Now, I've been concerned for some time, as you people know, about the lack of insects. They're not on the windscreens, are they, like they used to be years ago? And I want to know, this year especially, I've seen a handful of house martins, swifts and swallows. I mean, what's happened to them? I mean, give us some comments what you think is causing, and I've seen it over the last 3 years at least, just on the garden, the lack of insects. Is it herbicides? Is it 5G? What on earth is it? Is it just global warming and the droughts? I don't know. I just know there are less insects about. I want to know what's going to happen about the pollination of our crops. No crops, we might get no wheat. No wheat, we get no bread. For me, no bread. No carp off the surface. Easy, isn't it, really, to work it out like that? Doesn't cure it, but let us know in the comments what you think. There's less insects about. Finally, guys, I thought I've got to mention it because out doing that hedge, I was absolutely sweating like a pig. I had a shower. Mike gave me for Father's Day an assortment of like crafty beers. This one's called Cumberland, a golden beer. I don't think I've ever had that one before. 4% alcohol. Jennings, it says here. Then it says something about Home of Jennings, #1 golden beer. There's something on here. I need 6 pairs of glasses to read this. I just thought this was interesting. It's very easy to drink beer. Cumberland. Jennings' #1 golden beer acknowledges the rich heritage and tradition of the area, but its deep, refreshing flavour is still very much in line with contemporary tastes. Whatever. A supremely refreshing beer using carefully selected English hop varieties that are added at 2 points in the brewing process to give this beer its unique characteristics. I have to say, it's not a vastly impressive label, but it's a halfway decent beer, and it's very easy to drink on a hot summer's night. I'll have to get some more of those. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this little episode put together. It's just a little something, you know, give you guys something to watch. You've only got to wait 48 hours, hopefully in 48 hours time, I put the usual Friday one up. We'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget, bing bing, hit those subscribe buttons, TA Fishing, TA Outdoors, hit the notification bell, and if you want to support the merch, no, don't support this shirt, support the Totally Awesome Fishing with a hoodie or sweatshirt, whatever. We'll see you in the next one.